I welcome all of us to this seminar, which is hybrid seminar, to mark our Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Month, and it's led by PAG Femi. I will point to of the Rotary Club of Shomolu. On this note, at 4:26, I hereby call this seminar to order. Can we rise as we sing the Rotary invocation? 1, 2, go. Rotarians, Lord, we ask to lead us. We go first. To dignify
concerning selflessness,
we shall we offer thanks to thee. We pray that it will be out here to spread it bounteously. Thank you. May I have a seat? The chairman of this committee, Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, are designated by Rotary International for the month of March. And we are so marking this month with this seminar, which has been called to be online. On this note, I want to welcome all of us that have joined on this seminar. I want to say thank you for participating. It's my hope that the yield of this seminar will help us in better packaging our programs that relate to water, hygiene, and sanitation better in the future. The takeaways from this seminar, I hope, will be a tool that stores will use in managing and executing their water and sanitation hygiene projects. On this note, I welcome you and I thank the chairman for organizing this event. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So once again, good evening, everybody, and thank you for your patience. But as you know, in Rotary, we have to follow the normal protocols for calling events like this to order. So once again, you are all very welcome. This is a webinar organized by District 912 Lagos, Nigeria, to commemorate or to mark the Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Month, which recognizes in the month of March. By coincidence, we had the World Water Day was on March 27th. That was on Saturday. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to put this seminar to this very days to allow us to take all the fallouts from there. So without taking too much of your time, we shall be listening to our very first speaker in the person of Mr. Ademola Adeshina. And he's a well-renowned water expert. And he also happens to be the president of the Nigeria Water and Sanitation Association. So please let us recognize and appreciate him for taking his time out to attend this seminar for us. So he will be taking us on a topic called the basic water treatment methods and solutions. And I'm sure he will be able to take it off from there. So Mr. Ademola Adeshina, sir, the floor is yours. And the greetings and regards from my district governor there too, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I'm grateful for inviting me to speak to you, as I've been told that I should speak on basic water treatment and method and solution. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we're not taking it for granted. And in this meeting, by the grace of God, we shall be looking at the basic process in which we can deploy for good quality water that will meet the WHO standard, as it were. My name is Ademola Adeshina, as been told. I'm a certified water specialist for over 30 years, and I will take you through the rudiments and to let you know that all water we see is not water, but it has to be certified that they are good for drinking or for other purposes that can be of use. First of all, I'd like to let you know that we need to know the source of water. What are the sources of water? Where we can get raw water or water to be treated that will make it potable for us to drink, so that it will not impact our health adversely. Number one, we have what we call groundwater, and this type of water source happens to be spring, borehole, or well. And the second one is surface water, which can be from rivers, rains, streams, and oceans and sea as well. These are the sources of water that can be used for women to drink when it has been treated very well. And all these sources of waters are called raw waters. And then they are to be treated to meet the WHO standard for drinking waters. We have different kinds of water when they are treated for different kind of purpose or application. We have what we call pure water, high pure water, and we have ultra pure water. But for this meeting, we shall be looking at only pure water. The source of water that I call raw water, which is very important for us to get raw water before we can have good water being treated for our consumption. The first thing that we need to do is to get the raw water to be analyzed. It has to be analyzed to determine the kind of contaminants in that water. We have different kind of contaminants. We have what we call what can be odor, smell, or taste, sediments, microbes in the water, organic and inorganic contaminants. And then all these contaminants has to be treated or removed from the water if it has to be consumed by human being. The analysis to be carried out from the laboratory happens to be physical. We call it physiochemical analysis and microbiological analysis. So meaning that all our contaminants can be physical. The contaminants in the water can be chemical, and the contaminants in the water can be microbial or microbial in nature. Therefore, different kind of contaminants concentration determines the kind of process that needs to be deployed for water treatment. So to remove water contaminants, water treatment that we can employ happens to be, number one, the physical, chemical, and biological processes or methods or solution to get good water for us. Therefore, I like to just talk about the kind of water that is more common to us in Nigeria, which is for the household, majorly boreholes are being drilled and wells are being dug to get water from the earth so that it can be treated for human consumption. The first method, which I want to talk about, which is going to just give us ordinary pure water for consumption of human without impacting their health adversely, is aeration. Aeration. Aeration simply means incorporating oxygen in the water, and whereby that water is being aerated with oxygen. That means we dispel some organic matters, we dispel odor, smell, and then dislodge some kind of ligand of the chemical that holds the water, contaminants in the water. Thereby, this aerated water is passed through what we call sedimentation tank. So the second method has to be sedimentation. And the sedimentation simply means removal of the turbidity and the sediments, particles suspended or total solid in the water by settling or decanting. So the next one that follows sedimentation is what we call filtration. Filtration is more common, whereby we separate the suspended solids and particles from the water by allowing them to pass through various kind of filter media. These filter media can be sand of different and various sizes or grades. And then we can have some filter media that are called maybe activated carbon. We can have what we call halcdolite. And all these filter media, they have what they do when water passes through them. They recondition water to make sure that the water is okay or qualified to be called quality water for drinking. Now, in the filtration of water process, which we call physical process or physical method, we have what we call absorption. The absorption takes place in the filtration unit. The filtration unit majorly can be separated into 1, 2, 3, depends on the concentration of the contaminants. Therefore, the absorption we talk about here is basically to remove organic substances in the water, smell, odor, or taste in the water by using what we call activated carbon. In the activated carbon divided into several materials. We have coal-based and we have coconut-based. But two of them, they work as absorption to remove every odor, taste, and any organic matter or taste. The organic and organic contaminants from water. And these contaminants are manganese, iron, and all other kind of heavy metal that are not as lead, that's not like lead or arsenic. So oxidation simply means that the ligands of the inorganic or organic matter in the water, organic contaminants in the water, are being broken using some filter mediums. Like we can use manganese dioxide, and they have various kind of brands. We can use ferric chloride, as it were. We can use ozone generator, which is a tri-oxygen that can break the ligands of all the contaminants in the water and making them to be free in the solution. When they are free in solution, they are very quickly and easy to be removed by filtration method. The last one which I want to talk about, which is not the least, because we are talking about the potable water, pure water. If we have to talk about industrial water, then we can talk more about other processes. The next one is going to be chemical process or chemical method of treating water, in which I've made mention of oxidation. And the next one is going to be disinfection. Disinfection simply means using chlorine or chlorine oxide or even ozone to kill the pathogenic organism in the water, and then making water safe for drinking. And in the chemical process or method, we can use what we call disinfection. We can use what we call UV sterilizer or UV light to kill microbes in the water. And this will make our water to be free from contaminants called microorganisms that can affect the health of human being. And lastly, it's going to be softening of the water. If the water is hard water simply means when you wash with soap, it's not making lather, meaning that that water contains bicarbonate and carbonate of calcium and magnesium. So it can be removed by softening. And softening simply means using a medium called ion exchange resin. Ion exchange resin that's going to be used, maybe virgin one, that's going to be first of all be cleaned or regenerated with salt, industrial salt, opening up the ion. Thereby, when you pour your water, raw water into it, all the ligands that are carbonate, bicarbonate are being removed from water, and your water is being softened. And that is what we do. But there's another area in which I want to talk briefly, which is filtration by sterilization, whereby we use reverse osmosis. So we can use membrane filtration, which is using semi-permeable membranes to remove water. But there are some other materials, again, we can use to remove our organic and then microbes from water. We call it depth filtration, using some kind of filter cartridges, which are about 0.5 or micron and then 0.2 micron. They can remove microbes from water. Finally, after the water has been treated, that water needs to be taken to lab as well to certify that that water has met the WHO standard. There's a range in which the WHO standard criteria and parameter. If that water does not meet that criteria within the WHO standard of the parameter that we have, the water is not yet to be consumed as well. So it has to be within that WHO standard criteria. And then there are things we need to do to make sure that the water maintains the quality as time goes on. We call it routine check or routine kind of analysis, which it can be, you just test kits can do that. And the test kits you can use to check with your pH, to check your temperature, your alkalinity, free chlorine. And then when this is done, you can be sure that regularly you are having water that is free of contaminants that can have adverse effects on our health. And thereby you have what we call quality water, pure water for drinking purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ademola Adeshina, for that wonderful presentation. I will give everybody here some time to digest. If you have questions you can prepare them, and then maybe towards the end, we can please note down your questions. Or if you have any queries, if you do not have too many, please indicate. If not, we may have to debate till the end and then take all these, all the questions, answers, and queries and observations together. But I'm sure we all listened very carefully to what he was trying to explain to us about what you call the basic. I mean, everybody, the water we take or we drink is known in technical terms as potable water. And while water that we use that comes from the ground or from wherever the source may be is called raw water. The difference, so what we are trying to let you know is the fact that not all water that we consider raw water can be taken directly by human beings. That's why we have to explain some of the processes that we use to convert raw water into potable water for you to say, so at least you know what it's all about. In summary, even when you take raw water from any source and you even boil, which is called, I call it the easiest thing. If you boil water, you've already done some form of treatment for that water in itself. All the other things they have mentioned are just other things that you now do. What they do to the water you get from the water works and they hit you in your public taps are what we are just trying to explain to you. How we convert raw water to potable water. Yes, we have a question, please. Please, can we have that? Let's forget the question.
Can you say which is ideal for people?
Mr. Ademola, can you see the question? It says which is
Yeah, I can read a question from the
Yes.
platform here. It says, which is ideal for comparison of water standards, WHO standard or NIS, Nigeria Industrial, I can't see the rest one, standards set by SON.
Yes.
Well, we have regulatory body in Nigeria, and in part in Lagos, we have a regulatory body that controls the water intake, the water analysis, the water sales, and all that. But I can tell you from experience over the years, I use the WHO standards to measure my quality of water that I treat for my clients. That is not to say that the NIC standard is not okay, but I found out something because of the international kind of, relationship I have with some of my colleagues abroad. I found out that if the I'm not saying that NIS is not okay. What I'm saying is that there are some things that are not permissible internationally that NIS permitted. For example, NIS tells us that the pH of water, drinking water, should be from, WHO standard tells us the water intake for pH should be 6.5 to 8.5. NIS said the same thing. But the turbidity that NIS said happens to be 1,000, in which WHO standard says 500. So if I want to go by international standard says to me 500 is the minimum or maximum of the criteria permitted and permissible for turbidity, whereas they made measure of 1,000. So I can use WHO standard and I can use NIS, but for me, I've been using WHO standard for long time, as it were.
Any other questions before we move on? Or observations, comments? I'm sure we have a lot of layman's questions that we have when it comes to basic water treatment and solutions. I mentioned one the other time, which was boiling. When we were growing up, we used to use alum in water, if you remember. That's another form of water treatment. Yes.
Sir,
go on, sir.
Sir, when you boil your water, your boiling water is not, it cannot guarantee you that all the chemicals there are removed.
Yes, we know that, sir.
So boiled water can only kill the microbes by eating them up. But the chemical in there that will still be there.
Okay. Thank you, sir. As you can see, And that's the reason why I raised that question, so that we know that boiling alone is not enough for adding alone to water, as we used to do in the villages in those days. Or when we were in secondary school, we used to add alone to water. And we thought we had achieved it. Yeah, Mr. Ebon, please, your question, please.
Okay, good evening, our guest speaker, the DG, and the people on the table. It's an interesting presentation. Okay, my question is very simple. Just to addition to the one I asked earlier, I took a water sample to the laboratory, and the only identified non-conformance was for the appearance and the high ion content. So the appearance, I know with microfilter that can be handled, but the ion content, what will you advise? Since I may not have the entire process of the purification, what's the immediate step I can take to reduce the ion content? The difference is somehow not so much, but I don't know what you will advise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ion in water is not just only ion you see in the water. When there is ion in the water, one of the things you say maybe brownish kind of, or you place your water, your raw water on the floor, in the container, and you leave it for some time, you will find out that it will change color. It means that it's oxidation that has taken place by oxygen being infused into that water. So it's not ordinary water, it's not ordinary ion that you see in the water. What you need to see that accompany that happens to be manganese in the water. So they are just husband and wife. Manganese and iron, they go together. So when you have that kind of water, you need to watch out for the permissible level of the manganese in that your raw water and the permissible level of that iron in the water. So simply what you need to do is to make sure that you disorientate the equilibrium of the reaction of those ion 2 to ion 3 and ion 3 to ion 2. When that is done by using simple Acdolite or pH controller or pH conditioner, which can be your lime, it can be your Acdolite in form of filtration, and it can be, maybe when the iron is too much, you can use manganese dioxide oil. This manganese dioxide oil can remove as high as 10 ppm to 15 ppm of iron in the water, and then 10 ppm of manganese in the water. When this is being filtered, you can be sure that your water will be clean. But whereby you don't have the money for that, just get a normal pH. pH will distort the ligands of the soluble ion in the water, or insoluble ion in the water, and then insoluble manganese in the water. When insoluble ion in the water is being confronted with pH range, then they become soluble and they can be filtered from water by filtration, as it were. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. However, the manganese was very normal, very normal. It was just the iron that was high. Thank you. But I think you've answered the question. Thank you.
All right, sir.
One of the advantages of this seminar is that you can always get across and we can put you through to people, I mean, in the water industry that will give you the best professional advice that you can. Either you are a Rotarian or a non-Rotarian, I mean, you all be down for everybody. Okay, thank you. We have another question from architects. I did.
That's it, just waiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's written on the course. Good afternoon, Rotarian.
Okay, there's a question.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of.
Mr. Ademola, please take the question.
I can't say the question.
The question says, people always believe that borehole water is clean and better source of drinkable water. So can we directly drink from our borehole without any form of water treatment? So as far as we keep washing and making sure our toilet tank is clean. Is that still not
I will not advise that borehole water being drilled should be consumed directly. And then it depends on the area. For example, in the area where I live around this area, all I did was to dig a borehole, and that my borehole was not just far from the sewage or soak away, as it were. So I wouldn't know where the water is being dug to, but I will not advise anyone to drink borehole water directly. From experience, when the borehole is being drilled in Lagos, for example, if Bagada, VI, Lekki, and going to Apapa, then Ajegunle area, when you drill a borehole there, I won't advise you to drink your water from the borehole directly. But if you are somewhere around Ikeja, inward, not Ikeja around Ikeja inside, you might have problem there. But there's some areas in Ikeja that you can drill your borehole and possibly just pass it through all that filtration, sand filtration, and you can drink. But I will not advise anyone to drink water directly, because water being clean is not clean if it's not analyzed as the way maybe to determine the contaminants in there.
That answer your question, our architect. And just to reemphasize again, when you take water, which you classify that any water that is coming directly from the ground or from the river, from the lake, from the stream, technically we consider it to be called raw water. And the only way you can tell whether your water is fit for consumption or not is what our guest speaker mentioned, that you must do some form of preliminary analysis of the water to find out exactly what it is. Just as you mentioned again, you may be lucky, your raw water may be, okay, yes, it's happened in so many cases, it may be fairly okay. And then in which case you drink it and nothing happens. But what happens when there's something else that is wrong? That's why it's also always necessary to just do the most basic thing, analyze the water. And then it will tell you exactly what are there for you in the water. So thank you so much again for that observation. Any more questions or observations, corrections, omissions? Okay. Can I excuse our first speaker?
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. God bless you.
Okay, so thank you everybody once again. It's nice to be back. Now we shall be taking our second talk by Mrs. Debbie of Multidimensional. And this talk would be called Environmental Considerations in Providing Clean Water. But this time, the slant of this particular presentation will be more towards public health as it is right here. So please let us listen attentively while we invite Mrs. Debbie Omorere. She's an environmental health and public health specialist. So she will be telling us, taking us through this topic from the viewpoint of the health sector. Thank you. Mr. Debbie Omorere, the floor is yours. Mr. Debbie Omorere. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please unmute and thank you.
Shall we come out?
Rotary, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, my DG. And good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Raja.
Yes, sir. We're going to be talking on environmental considerations in providing clean water. Luckily, the first speaker has thrown a lot of light into what the real water is, what clean water is. So first and foremost, we're going to start. We're going to look at the environmental effect on clean water. Now, providing clean water requires careful environmental consideration to ensure sustainability and reduce negative impacts such as water pollution, leading to health problems and ecosystem damage, reduce water quality and availability, and economic losses. You can share the slide. Before we go on, we're going to be looking at some terms. We're going to be looking at some terms that will come across as we go on. First, we have clean water or potable water. What is clean water? Clean water is water that is safe to drink, that is safe to use for food preparation, and do not cause harm when consumed over a lifetime. Then we're looking at surface water. What is surface water? This is water found on the earth's surfaces, like lake and ocean. We also have groundwater. Groundwater is found beneath the earth's surface. Example of groundwater, we have well, we have spring, and we have aquifer. Then we have the water table itself. The water table is the underground boundary between the soil surface and the areas where groundwater occupies spaces between sediments and cracks in the rock. Then we have the aquifluid. It's a geographical formation or an area that is permeable, that is not permeable to water flow, and it acts as a barrier to groundwater. Then we have the aquifer. The aquifer is an underground layer of permeable rocks or materials that can store water or transmit groundwater. In other words, the aquifer allows water to flow through it. Then we have the spring water, which is called water from an underground source that do not pass through a community system. From the diagram, I don't know if the slide, is being displayed.
The slide is on.
Because I have some diagrams.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, from there we go to sources of clean water. What are the sources of clean water? Or sources of water, to be precise? We have groundwater, the ground, which is groundwater. These are water that are located below the surface of the earth. We have surface water. This collects on the ground in form of lake, river, reservoir, or ocean. Then we have the rainwater, which collects from the atmosphere. Now, what are the benefits of clean water? We're going to be looking at two benefits. We have the health benefits and we have the socioeconomic benefits of clean water. First, clean water reduces the risk of contracting diseases like cholera. When we take in clean water, we don't have the risk of contracting cholera, dysentery, or even typhoid fever. Then clean water, another benefit of clean water, health benefit, is that it helps in proper digestion. It helps to transport nutrients and maintenance of healthy body temperature. Another health benefit of clean water is kidney function. It cleans up the kidney and helps the kidney to filter its waste properly. Then we have bones and joints. Clean water lubricates the joints, helps to maintain bone health, and prevent inflammation and support better mobility. Then weight loss. Research has shown that consuming clean water helps to promote weight loss and feeling of wellness. Then we have regulation of body temperature. Clean water helps to regulate the body temperature. For example, when a person consumes clean water, a person that has fever consumes clean, cold water. The body, it helps to normalize the body temperature through heat evaporation and equally sweat evaporation during exercise that keeps the body cool. Then clean water from research also shows that it improves skin complexion, keeps it fresh, soft, glowing, and smooth. Then we have toxins. Clean water flushes toxins in the human body through sweating, urination, tears, and defecation. Then we move to the socioeconomic benefit of clean water. One of the socioeconomic benefits of clean water is it boosts agriculture and food production. In other words, clean water is important for irrigation and plant health. Thereby, it increases food security and economic opportunities. Consequentially, it leads to adequate job, increased business and income. And then we have another socioeconomic benefit. Research has shown that clean water consumption by pupils improves their attendance and academic performance. Clean water also breaks the cycle of poverty by improving health, increasing productivity, and creates economic opportunities. Then we also have access to clean water contributes greatly to healthier and productive and fulfilling life for any individual. Now, before we go on, we'll like to look at environment. We have talked about water. Now we have to look at environment. What is an environment? An environment is a surrounding or condition in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. Now we should be able to know or understand the components of an environment so as to relate the effects that an environment will have on clean water. Now, under the components of environment, we have the natural components and we have the man-made components or human-made components. For the man-made components, the natural components of the environment, we have the atmosphere, which comprises of air. We have the lithosphere, which comprises of the soil. We have the hydrosphere, which comprises of the water. We have the biosphere, which comprises of living things, both plants and animals. Now we go to non-living things, still under the natural components of the environment. We have the sun, we have the wind, we have the river, we have ocean, we have lakes, we have sea, and we have rain and sand. Then the man-made component or the human-made components consist of parks, roads, buildings, bridges, industries, factories. These are things that are made by man. So these are the components of the environment. I have some diagrams, but since the slide is not appearing, yeah. Okay. Yeah, research over the years has shown that water quality and availability can be influenced by nearly all components of the environment. Hence, we shall be considering some of the negative impact of environmental factors on clean water. Both clean water availability and quality, as well as the positive outcome of environmental factors on clean water. Now, what are some of the negative impact or effect of the environment on clean water. Some of the negative effects, first we have, number one, we have pollution. Pollution comes from both human and animal waste. It could also come from chemicals such as fertilizers, pesticides, both fertilizers and pesticides, and these can contaminate the groundwater or surface water, which are the sources of water, especially when they are not properly managed or disposed. And what are the consequences of these pollutants in water? Some of the consequences of these pollutants in water are, it makes the water unsafe to drink or destroys plant and aquatic life. Then we have another consequences of water pollution. It causes waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases such as dysentery, typhoid fever, schistosomiasis, ringworm, all these are waterborne diseases. When clean water is contaminated by organic waste, such as human waste or animal waste, it could introduce all these sources of infection into the water and can be taken by man, which will cause all these waterborne diseases. And now we go to another consequences of water pollution. We have the ecosystem damage. Pollution can kill aquatic organisms, such as our fishes, and can cause chain of destruction, such as damage to our crops or scarcity of, and then leading to scarcity of food. Now we have human health impact. Contaminated water can cause various health illnesses, such as gastrointestinal issues and chronic diseases. We also have climate change as one of the impacts of the environment on clean water. Climate change can impact water availability and quality through changes in prescription pattern. Oh, okay. Through changes in prescription pattern. Example, pattern of rain, snow, sleet, or liquid or fluid liquid that falls from the atmosphere. When there is increased evaporation, or when there's so much sun, the earth is exposed to, or the waters are exposed to
I think it's on my side.
I hope we can hear.
Let's go back a bit.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, the network. Yeah, we are on climate change. So I said when there is increased evaporation or high temperature, it will lead to increased evaporation of water. And when there's increased evaporation of water and melting glaciers, that will lead to reduction in the water level and may cause the reduction in availability of water. Now, from the diagram in the next slide, it shows how water evaporates to the atmosphere. And when it has a lot of water evaporate to the atmosphere, the water level, the groundwater level reduces, and the surface water level also reduces, which leads to reduction in availability of clean water or from the water sources. Now we go to the consequences of climate change. Of course, the consequences of climate change, we have water scarcity and ecosystem changes. Water scarcity, like I said, there's going to be shortage of water when there is over evaporation of water. There's going to be shortage of water, which is going to affect both agricultural practices, agricultural products, plants and animals, and is going to even affect the sanitation also. And also, let us also know that extreme rainfall is another climate issue. Sorry for the break. So extreme rainfall, like I was saying, extreme rainfall can also increase flooding, which can also in turn wash waste, organic waste and chemicals into the sources of clean water. Then let's go to the second effect, environmental effect of the environment, environmental effect on clean water. Now we have over extraction of water. Excessive withdrawal of water from rivers, lake, groundwater can lead to depletion and salination, that is increased salt concentration in water. Now, what are the consequences of over extraction of water? It leads to reduced water availability or water scarcity, leading to conflict or economic hardship. Yes, when there's no water in a community or lack of water or shortage of water, what happens? People go ahead to start buying water. Water becomes a commodity that should be bought. People spend a lot of money buying water, and what does it do? It leads to economic hardship and could even cause conflict because, for example, we have two communities sharing the same water and there might be argument on how to get the water, available for themselves, and it could also lead to conflict. Now we go to the next one, which is poor sanitation. Poor sanitation is also an environmental factor. Improper waste disposals like plastics, organic waste can contaminate water sources, acting as pollutants or introducing pathogens into the water sources. Now, what are the consequences of poor sanitation on clean water? Of course, it leads to water quality degradation due to concentration of pollutants and pathogens in the water. Now we have dealt with the negative impacts of the environment on clean water. And now we're going to be looking at some of the positive outcomes of environment on clean water. Yes, with a clean environment, a well-kept environment, we're going to be having human health and well-being. Of course, we're going to be living healthy. Our health is going to be free from diseases, infection, and contaminations from chemicals from the water. When there's a clean environment, a well-kept environment, there's going to be reduced mortality and morbidity. Mortality means death, and morbidity means illnesses. And then another positive I'm so sorry, my network is actually having a lot of challenge here. Yes. So if we all take clean water, what happens? Of course, we are going to have we are going to be very productive, and our quality of life, we have good quality of lives. Then we have climate change mitigation. When the environment, when we have our trees planted, we have our greenhouse effects is put into control, what happens? The climate, there's going to be reduced climate change, reduced negative climate change. It's going to be mitigated. And then we'll have less effects of sunshine, less effect of rain, which results to flooding. It's going to be reduced. Then we have reduced greenhouse gas emission through renewable energy adoption. Adoption helps to mitigate the effect of climate change. That's all the same. Then we have water and waste management. Of course, when the environment, when we are able to manage our waste properly, what happens? The sewage, we are able to manage our sewage. We don't dig our borehole very close to our sewage. We'll be able to get clean water from the ground. And then when we implement proper waste and water management system, this can also prevent pollution and conserve resources. Now, what are the recommendations that I have for the public and for every one of us? First and foremost, we need to educate the public. We need to educate ourselves. Of course, this is part of the education we are getting about what clean water is, the benefit we have with clean water, and then we raise awareness about the importance of water conservation. How can we conserve? Just like the first speaker has talked about how to purify our water and how to get the pure water instead of drinking directly from the bowl. And then we need to promote water-saving technologies by encouraging the use of water-efficient appliances, irrigation system, and other technologies to prevent water wastage. Like those people having farms, having animal farms and plant farms, they need to be educated on how to use proper saving water technologies that can actually save water from wasting. And then we also have some of the recommendations also invest in robust water infrastructure, such as water treatment, just like the first speaker has talked about. Then promote installation of rain harvesting system for domestic and agricultural use. Yes, some of our people in the communities, in the villages, needs to be educated on how to operate this harvesting system to get rainwater from the sources, from resources, to preserve this rainwater to be used for both domestic purpose and agricultural purpose, instead of getting the water direct from the borehole or getting it direct from other clean source. Then we also have provide technical support and training to communities on how to build and maintain rainwater harvesting system. Just like we said, this rainwater harvesting system, we need to teach this to the communities on how to build and maintain rainwater harvesting system. And then we have to also, part of the recommendation, we have to improve sanitation infrastructures, including sewage treatment, and also treatment of our water. And then we also ensure safe disposal of waste. Then we take actions like tree planting to reduce greenhouse gas emission. That could be climate, that could cause climate change. Then we implement water pricing policy that could help in conserving water. Now, I want to talk about this taking action like planting of trees to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which of course I want to commend the Rotary clubs and the Rotary International. They have really been very effective in this area of planting trees to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So I would like to stop here. Thank you for listening, and I expect some questions.
Thank you so much, Rotary, and very lovely presentation. Let me throw the floor everybody here. Let us look for questions, observations, and suggestions. If there's anything you've left out, very open about it. Once again, the floor is very open for comments. Thank you. Please indicate.
Since the volume is low, I can't really hear from them. I would like them to put it down in the chat box so I can get the questions.
As requested, our presenter said you can put it in the chat box. If you have questions, please type.
Yes, in the chat box.
Yes, we have questions. Yes, we can share the file and the slide. Just indicate when approach to us and we will provide all the slides that are. Other questions?
I think there's none for now. There's no question for now.
No questions for now.
I hope I didn't forget my glasses, sir. I will go back. It's true. I would rather forget my glasses. But without glasses,
I want to thank Rotary and what struck me there, my own comments, is the fact that she made
volume of this thing is not too good.
I would have the aspect of rainwater. Are you with me? Rainwater harvest happens to be one area which has not been interaction in the past from a lot of people. But I can say from experience, after having worked in parts of this country as it relates to water, rainwater harvesting happens to be the major source of water collection if you have in some areas in the where groundwater is extremely difficult to reach and produce. The people there have sort of found a way to work on rainwater harvesting. In fact, I learned a lot when I went to the area there. They've done so much in terms of rainwater harvesting in that area, where people are able to store water during the rainy season that takes them for at least 3-4 months into the dry season. It's an area which I think we should begin to look to, and I think there's ongoing research because in certain areas, because of the soil or we call it the geology or whatever of the area, accessing borehole water is virtually impossible. So I think thank you for bringing that up, and then we'll try and use it and then maybe recommend it in other areas where we feel that have difficulties getting into water. So thank you so much again, and we'll quickly.
Thank you.
So people are trying to start them and do that, and then if you don't mind, because of the slides and for the presentation. So people have requested, and then they may need to get across if there are things that are not very, very clear. So thank you once again. Okay. Yes, we are moving on to the third and final speaker for today. And this is going to be done by Rotary and Dr. Nkechi Achilike. She's an assistant director in the Department of Aquaculture in the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research. She's going to be doing the same topic this time, environmental considerations in providing clean water. But this time we shall be taking it more from the perspectives of the environment. Yes, a very strong perspective now from the environment. And as you can see from what I read from my profile, we're talking about oceanography, marine research. That is, when it can be had as a starting point for our own seminar, 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water. Please let us take note of that. 70% of the world's surface is covered by water. The land mass we have, where we all occupy today, is barely 30% of the whole world. So when people in oceanography and marine are talking, you know that they are the ones that are basically in control of the world right now. And there are so many things that we need to do from there. So, Madam, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Venter. I have been introduced well. My name is Dr. Nkechi Achilike from Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research. The last speaker has talked about the environmental considerations regarding clean water, and I'm going to say the same thing in a different way. Which one is like? Yeah, it's the same thing. Well, I'll start by also letting us know what an environment means. To some of us, it's just the surrounding where we live. But the sum total of the biotic and abiotic factors that make up our environment. And what are these biotic factors? They are the living organisms, the plants and animals, while the abiotic factors are the non-living organisms. My former speaker also mentioned about the components of the environment, which consist of the natural or the geographical environment, like the rivers, mountains, climate, and the ecosystem. These exist independently of human influence. That is, human beings do not have any influence on their existence. While the other one is the man-made or the cultural environment, which comprises of the human-created elements like the building, the roads, the cities, the social systems, and the technologies that come as a result of the human activity. Now, there are so many definitions or so many meanings given to clean water. Let me just say this here. To some people, clean water is a water that is safe for consumption and for domestic use. To some, clean water is water that is free from harmful contaminants, pathogens, and excessive levels of chemicals. And to some, clean water is water that will not harm you if you come in contact with it. All these now tell us what a clean water means. To a layman, to anybody, once you say all these three things, they are now referring to clean water. That is why the UN Sustainable Development Goal, the sixth objective of their Sustainable Development Goal, is access to clean water and sanitation. They made it compulsory obligation that all nations, humans should have clean water in their environment for them to have a clean and healthy living. We are going to look at these environmental considerations from four perspectives. One is water source. That is, how do we protect our water source? Manage water pollution, promote water use efficiency, and address climate change. A lot have been also said by my previous speaker, but I'm going to buttress on them. Because when all these things are addressed, we can improve water quality and availability. Let's take it one after the other. The first one is protecting the water source. The two speakers also mentioned the sources of water. It's not going to be different from what I'm saying. The sources of water will have surface water and groundwater and groundwater. I think they dwelt more on it, so I'm not going to waste time on that information again. So how are we going to now protect our water? First of all, we look at the proper waste disposal. We know that a lot of us litter waste indiscriminately without knowing where this waste enter. They find their waste into the waterways, directly or indirectly, and they are very hazardous and harmful to human beings, such as the paints, the oils, the chemicals. So we should endeavor to dispose our waste properly. Why I'm saying this, I'm also giving a measure of that we are going to take. The second one is reducing plastic waste. This time around, we notice that all the things we use now are plastics. And we also don't know the meaning of that, the implication of these plastics. We have carried out research in our institute and we have found out that these plastics are very dangerous to human health. That is why in some cases now, they don't allow you to use plastics in their places of work. Like my office, we have stopped using bottled water. You come with your flask if you want to drink water, and then we have one source of water. And then we do what we call beach cleanup. We can do also stream cleanup because we do it in our institutes once in a month. There's one department that does that, marine biology. They take a lot of people to the beach because they know that a lot of waste do come to the beach because we know that my institute is located along the coastline. So all the waste you generate from your homes empty into that Atlantic Ocean, the coastline. So we clean it up every month to make you have clean water. Then we minimize the pollution from industrial discharges, for example, the agricultural runoff. She also mentioned the pesticides and the fertilizers and animal waste. When rain falls, all these things empty into our water. So we should be careful on how to dispose all these waste. The second one is managing the water pollution. If the water is already polluted, what do we do? The first speaker mentioned about the biological, physical, and chemical processes that are engaged in all these contaminants. We have to do it to reduce all the pollutants and the pathogens from our water. We can also go further to treat this water by using the membrane filtration. I was happy when you mentioned that membrane filtration because it's an advanced treatment technology that we also use to get in our clean water. Then the second one is the watershed management. How do we protect our watershed, the ecosystem? How do we restore it? How do we protect it? We use a 3R policy that we call the 3R policy: reduce, reuse, and recycle. From this diagram, you can see that some of the items mentioned there, they are supposed to reduce the usage, reuse them, recycle them, and then you dispose your refuse very well. You can see the circular one that was marked. They stated there that you do not buy unnecessary things. These are all the strategies that are mapped out to protect our water and our environment. Then the public awareness, as we are doing now, they are now telling people the importance of water conservation and pollution prevention. Then encourage sustainable practice. The third one is the promoting water usage efficiency. He also mentioned it in her seminar presentation that this is a strategy that reduces water consumption, minimizes waste, and helps protect water resources from future generations. What are the strategies mapped out for this water use efficiency? One is technological innovations. There are some technologies that are in vogue now that you can use to do your irrigation or use your household appliances without wasting your water. And then our behavioral changes. We human beings are fond of wasting water without considering the future generations. These are the things are listed out, like having a shower, shorter showers, fixing your leaks, and using your water efficient appliances. This can make a very big difference. Then the policy regulations. Government policies and regulations can play a vital role in that using water use efficiency. Then I'll also talk about the climate change. I also, because you mentioned something about the climate change, which also the presenter also talked about the rainwater harvesting. It's still coming up in my presentation. You know that climate change is a long-term shift in Earth's average temperature and weather conditions. It can disrupt water cycles, contaminate water source, impact human health and ecosystem. Then what are the adaptations and the mitigations? One is this rainwater harvesting. We are not doing enough with this rainwater harvesting. Like you mentioned in Edo State, where they don't have boreholes. It's because Lagos State we have boreholes here and there. So we don't consider this rainwater harvesting the means of mitigating the climate change. So we should imbibe it, especially people who don't have access to boreholes, to use it with good source of irrigation. Then we have to protect and restore our natural environment. There is something we call wetlands. It's a type of nature that has some partly water and some partly soil. And we also have some shrubs like mangroves. All these act as natural buffers, you know, against flooding, erosion. And you know what erosion does to our waters. We now erode all the sediments and all the waste into our water. You know, because we live in a metropolitan environment, we don't consider other people that live in the community. This seminar is not only restricted to people that live in the metropolitan. We also look at people that live in the villages, how their water sources, how they maintain their water sources to increase their good health. We should also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There are some things I listed out here, like using electric vehicles, you know, solar energy and hydropower. Walking short distances. A lot of us use cars even when we are going to short distances. We should try as much as possible to reduce the effluent that we put in the air, because they all go back to our water and disrupt our water in one way or the other. We should improve water infrastructure, like invest in climate resistant water infrastructure, like the breakwaters, and then improve our water treatment technologies. Wash is another means of improving our water hygiene. Wash, like we are doing today, water sanitation and hygiene, we should integrate it into our school systems. You know, let it be adopted in our school system, even at home. You let your children, everybody around you, to clean your environment, wash your hands, and then clean the environment before you do anything, to avoid infection and to avoid contaminations. That is what wash is all talking about. Conserve your water, use your water efficiently. Then I now listed these tips for us to take as a take home for today. You do your proper disposal of waste, proper disposal of chemicals and fuels. Do we even know that detergent that we use at home contains phosphate? Most of us do not know. And what are the effects of this phosphate to our water? They enter into our water and cause what we call algae bloom. What does algae bloom mean? It means that the oxygen content of the water is going to be depleted, and all the aquatic life in the water is going to be affected. And when this aquatic life, fish in the water, is affected, it also affects human beings in one way or the other. It's a food chain on this earth. So when you disrupt your water, it's going to affect you as a human being, whether you are living in the ocean or not. We have to minimize the pesticides and the herbicides and the fertilizers that we use. We are not saying that we should not use it. We are saying that we should minimize it, because some of them during agriculture rainfall, they run into this our water. What are we talking about today is how to protect our water and also protect our environment. Then we do community engagements. The community engagement as we are doing now, we are carrying out advocacy, letting everybody know about how to conserve our water and promote our water. Then we treat water sewage and generate byproducts. These are another means of protecting our environment. Implement effective water treatment processes. Like the first speaker has said, we use so many ways, the chemical and the biological means, to treat our water. In summary, for us to ensure environmental considerations in providing clean water, the following steps need to be taken. One is to prioritize water conservation, implement sustainable sanitation practice, protect water sources, and promote public awareness about water quality and responsible usage. The final thoughts for today. Knowing all the disastrous effects of water pollution, people should make a change in their personal lives and find ways to reduce water pollution. The sure way to reduce water pollution, improve drinking water, and create cleaner aquatic ecosystem are in our hands. Making easy switches from plastics, cleaning products, and laundry detergents in your homes to properly disposing of waste and chemicals. It's not difficult to play your part in reducing pollutants in our waters. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope we were able to listen attentively. So before I add my own comments, please, I will leave the floor for once again. Let's have your comments, observations, queries, omissions, commissions, as we have. Please, let's have it.
And we share what's happening in that.
Take that. I will take the room.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, we'll take care of that. Any other observations, comments? I wanted to add something, which she mentioned. I think it was in between somewhere where it was mentioned that we should try and incorporate water or safe water sanitation and hygiene practices into our curriculum. I am not very sure of what happened, but I think in the early days when you were in primary school, there used to be, or this primary or this secondary, I'm not too sure, but there used to be what we call, was it health education or something? I don't know what happened. Is it physical or health education? I don't know what happened. And most of the things we are discussing today were things that we learned. I think I remember then I had a job schooling in some places where health education was compulsory at a particular level. I don't know what I don't forget what topic on that. And there was something related to health education. And I mean, all these things are things that if people could just be aware of, they don't see not know the dangers involved in so many of the normal practices that we do there. But if all of us had access to basic health education from the beginning, I think it would just ease up a lot of things. Because half of the things that we have learned here today are things that we have been taught to students at the basic level of whatever they are. Even practices such as hand washing, covering your food, disposing waste properly, these are things we learn at that level that make it easier for us to maintain safe practices in health and sanitation. But once again, well, as I said, the essence of this seminar is to open our eyes as to the importance of water, and in recent times, how water is tied into sanitation, is tied into hygiene, how even the sanitation and the hygiene, how it affects productivity. You can see that everything just seems to revolve around water. And just like I mentioned earlier before she started that talk, that 70% of the surface of the earth as we know it today is water. Where we live on the land is barely about 30% of the total surface of the earth. In the same vein, too, if we go to the human body, which we all use and occupy and do things with by here, medically, I think it's important that 70% of the human body too consists of water too. So I think with all due regards and respect, we can say that water is life in itself. And even from those that study the evolution of species and man, life, I think if I'm correct, madam, evolved from where? From the water. And even if you go back into our Bible and the rest, I think God created the I'm not sure the other, but I think man came last. I think water came land came first. Okay, let that be life. Okay, fine, we have to have light. And then water came. And if you look at even the whole line, man came last.
Man is destroying
So you can see that from all the indications, both from the Bible, even science, evolution, and everything, the overall effect or the importance of water cannot be undermined in any way. The rest of the 70% is water, the human body itself, 70% is water. So this seminar is not supposed to help us out in little ways so that we understand the interplay of water in our environment, in our lives. And if I recall, even we had a learning seminar at the beginning of this month, in which one of the speakers even related the effects of not having enough water, how it affects people's lifestyles and education, and people, if you force children to go and fetch water in the morning, they lose valuable man hours, and there are so many things that we just need to address as to this importance of water. So I hope we have been able to touch across to everybody, and I hope you all enjoyed it. If you need any slides, if you have any further questions on any of the presentations, we can link you up with the speakers and get everything that you need to do. And let's hope that in our own little way, that we have been able to at least create some form of impact, or at least let people understand the importance of water. Water is everywhere, but let us begin to realize how important it is. And as they say, life is water, and water is life. So let me give let me hand it back to my district governor for final talks, comments, and to take care of the vision for us. My district governor, sir.
Thank you very much, the PhD, I will go through water, hygiene, and sanitation. Water, hygiene, and sanitation, watch. We want to sincerely thank all our facilitators, Dr. Nkechi, for coming around and sitting here live with us. She has actually opened our mind and thoughts to an oversight. I also want to thank all our other speakers, Debbie and Mr. Ademola Adeshina, Debbie and Mr. Ademola Adeshina. You've actually opened our hearts to what we take for granted. Three of you have spoken on the same topic, but in different aspects. I've actually opened my eyes to certain things that what we take for granted, and we need to take very conscious notice of. It's been a wonderful seminar. For those of us who are able to join, let us take this back to our club. It shows that we do more projects than just digging boreholes. With this seminar, there are so much we do around water, sanitation, and hygiene. And I want to urge you to kind of do projects, partner with the community where you are. I'm beginning to think already of what we can do in the month of April, which is the month of the environment. I'm already thinking aloud to partner with the oceanography on clean up the ocean. I hope we can partner on that specific date in April. We can have it much earlier in the week of April, so that we can have a district 912 day of environment cleaning, which will devote one day to water, the Atlantic Ocean cleanup. We'll now have another day dedicated to all clubs within their community to do a day of environmental cleaning. That way, I will add it up to our tree planting exercise to say that we, as Rotary International District 912, we probably contributed our quota to the sustenance of our environment. I sincerely want to thank all of you, ma'am, and sir, and all those of us who have joined from here, the chair, the vice, the social media, and all Rotarians online. Please take this to your club. There are so much we have benefited from this online seminar that has so much impacted us, and I do wish to have more of this that will educate us, not only for purpose of doing service in our community, but also to enrich our own life, which we have actually got. On this note, I thank you everyone for joining us. And at 5:55, I hereby bring to a close this online seminar on water, sanitation, and hygiene. Shall we rise as we finish the Rotary play? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So, please, I want you to leave from the church. What time? What do you do? That's it.
So what date of the month?